Well, hello, friends. Well, hello, friends. Mark Holmes here, and as always, I want to thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Boo Sports Report. Without you guys, as well as you ladies, you know that this literally does not work. I got my mic set up out here. I don't know about you, but I am happy as can be because we are getting closer and closer to the season. Right now, we actually have the I like listening to the music. Is it bothering you guys? Is it bothering you? If it is, I'll get rid of it. Q in the house. What's up? Uh-oh. Hold up. We got some actions. They're probably...
Christina, you calling me? I just need to hear from you.
I'm going to skip the ads. Oh. Okay, I'm going to turn off. This is what drives me crazy about the Cowboys. They end up having the press conference music and stuff on there. They right now have 104 people watching. Shout out to the 54 that we have. Fish just put up a video from Oxnard camp. Well, you know, he's there at camp. I ain't mad at him, you know. Not everybody can be there. Some of us have to be, you know, followers. Some of us have to be leaders. Fish is a leader, and I'm a follower. But come 2 weeks from now, I will be picking up an RV, and we'll be getting ready to head for Oxnard. So I'm going to be the leader of that event at least. What's up, Lola? Wait, let's see. Oh, wrong one. I thought I had. Well, damn, I'm going to have to add it in here. What's up, Chubb64? How you doing? Victor Westfall, what's up? Lord Nova, thank you. You got it? Make sure you send me some pictures, Lord Nova. Glad you got it. You know, I'm behind, man. I wake up. I've gotten so now. Sheila, how you doing? I've been waking up at like yesterday it was 4:30. Today it was 3 o'clock in the morning and couldn't go back to sleep. I think it's because I've got so much that's going on, so much that's on my mind. Trying to get ready for the Hall of Fame, and I keep coming up with different ideas of trying to make the stuff, you know, as best as possible. Let me ask you, is the sound okay right now? Can you hear me clearly? Is the picture clear? You know, it's crazy because it's the middle of the day, and I literally have 3 spotlights that are on me because you have to illuminate up underneath of here. And then, of course, the ceiling lights, and it's about 90 degrees outside. But, you know, I just love being out here because I think it's a nice view, although I need to clean up the deck and put the cushions up. But we're going to be ready. Hector, build a spacer under the football gods and the blue LED. That's not a bad idea. That may not be a bad idea. What's up, Stacy? How you doing? Philly D, what's up? I hope you guys enjoyed last night's live stream that I did with Philly 500, man. Cool, Lola. I'm glad. Now, if we could just do something about my looks. You see, I'm actually covered with paint. This is what you get with broke-ass media that I've gone out this morning. I did my morning video, and I forgot to make it public, so it actually got out there late. I then had to go pick up I had to go get some wood. And no, I wasn't going to the strip club. I wasn't going to the strip club. I was going to actually the warehouse to pick up some wood because I got to build cabinets, as well as we're working on a bunch of stuff in the workshop as well. So, and I wanted to make sure that I carry this with you guys because, you know, let's face it, I like just hanging with you guys. You guys are cool. So right now the Cowboys have 325. Chuck Benson, you're so oh my God, you're excited. You're excited. Now, anybody, let me clarify this because we have people out there that are, you know, fact checkers, I guess. I call giving away autographed merchandise giveaways. Somebody said you can't call it giveaways because you have to pay to enter, so it's a raffle. Okay, if you want to put it that way, then fine. Put it that way, then it's a raffle. But I'm just trying to do things to try and give back to those that have really supported the channel as much as possible. I mean, I don't know how else to put it. I'm trying to spread the mojo, and it's like, can y'all work with me? It's the wood that makes it good. Real wood. So you don't want that fake wood. Ladies, you don't want the fake wood. Don't let anybody sell you fake wood, okay? You want the real wood when it comes to cabinets because, you know, that real wood lasts. The fake stuff, actually, the fake stuff can last too, but that's another story. Good afternoon, Eric. Eric, how you doing? Stacy Schubert and Lolo. Q up in the house. What's up, Q? Jacob, shout out to Mark at work watching the with the Bucks fans. I've got actually I'm working on a rack in there that is Bucks fan, where they've got the Bucks red and the creamsicle orange on the rack. So I'm working on that. I've got a person who said, "Look, I'll come pick up the table from you. Can I just get one of the tables?" So I'm building one of those tables, and I've got kitchen cabinets. The work never ends for me, and I love it. Eric Hogan, good. So I hope that today that the Cowboys actually start on time. I swear, if I'm okay, I'm gonna go expand it. I don't need to see the chat from them. All right, I can actually change the picture here so you guys can actually see. Boom. This still is like this past year has been like crazy to me. I love this outdoor set. I don't know where the idea came from. I guess it came up in the middle of one night or whatever, but I love being out here. I think this looks kind of cool with an actual TV. I got the color right and everything else for doing this. It's great to be outside, so we got the greenery and everything, and it's great to come hang out with you guys, and I am so happy that now we can be doing press conferences and updates and highlights. Yes, as soon as they start, we will pay the sound on it. Thanks for reporting. Tito, you're in the next drawing Friday night. Oh, I have actually, I guess some breaking news, not on the Dallas Cowboys, but in my personal life, that everything has been coming up aces lately. The Red Brick House. Any of you who know about the Red Brick House, a project that has been, for me, about 4 years in the making. To make a long story short, I have a 200-year-old house that was basically about to be destroyed because it was in such bad shape by this small city. And I ended up doing a whole speech in front of the city council and pleading on it to try and save it. And the next thing I know, I became the proud owner of a house falling to the ground. Dominique, all right, you're entered the drawing, man. I think we'll do. I'm not sure who we're gonna do. We'll probably do Bob. I mean, not Bob Lilly. I don't have a Bob Lilly. The Manster on Friday. I've been trying to get this house going, but the zoning has been a killer on it for a long time. Started because it's zoned commercial highway, and it's just not doable with it. So we've been working on getting the zoning done. If you follow my other channel, I've showed you guys the town council meeting that they had, and I had somebody who actually objected, and it's actually, believe it or not, a YouTube troll, and they got a good laugh out of it. But as far as we know, we heard that the city council that there's no objections to it. So Monday night, we should be getting the blessing to actually be able to start working on that thing. So I'm actually very, very happy. So I got that going on. I've got, of course, the Cowboys going to training camp. I got all my great friends up in here. And we got the Dallas Cowboys about to do a press conference. And as always, they always like to say 1 o'clock. And then they make you wait. They make you wait. But I hope that in Oxnard that they've got the Wi-Fi working good. You can't be a real Cowboys fan unless you're drinking out of a Cowboys 7-Eleven cup. Okay, so how's everybody doing this morning? I see Richard Noggin in the house. Osmosis, time to shit or get off the toilet. I agree with you 100%. There's my man, D2 Stew. D2 Stew, what time are we kicking off this afternoon for our fantasy football live stream? So you guys are getting doubled up today. You're doubling up. we're getting things going with fantasy football. Oh, here we go.
Since we took a break last year from being here, I'd kind of like to start off by making sure we all understand the democracy that's going on here and the forum that we've got. Is there anybody here that's complaining because we're having this camp here at Oxnard? Please raise your hand. With that, well, I'm not, and I damn sure am happy that we're out here and everything that it stands for. To me, this is a great opportunity. We like to have things really work, and in this particular case, this location, this area, the people of Oxnard, Oxnard, the feeling that we have is like you're coming home. But just as important is just the atmosphere. Now, we all know what our challenges were over the past year and a half. And, Rich, I think it's been 18 months since we've been out here to try to be exact. But it was so important for the Cowboys to basically, in this way, show, look, we're back. Here we are. We're back to business. We're back to the thing that is, in this case, where it starts, training camp, getting this team, getting the competitiveness to make this team and getting this team ready to play. We obviously think this is one of the best places in the world to get a team ready to compete. Has everything to do with the weather, but in case you look at these facilities, they were built for these times. But more importantly, I want to refer back to last year. It was no accident that the Cowboys had about 22, 23, 24% of all the fans in the NFL were at Cowboy games. Just so you know, that was important to us. That was important to us. And by the way, there were none serious in any way outbreaks of COVID. To have those fans there, those fans that we had, which outdistanced most. We just recently had a fight out there that many of you probably were in attendance, but we had about 70-something thousand people out there. We know of not one case that's come from having those 70-something thousand people out there, and they were shoulder to shoulder. And certainly some had masks, but a lot didn't. And the point is, it's a real privilege to have something as be a part of something as high profile as the Cowboys are, and high profile as our stadium is, to basically be able to say, hey, we're going back to how it used to be in that particular sense. I'm well aware and sensitive about the COVID situation, that the recent uptick in the situation. We're well aware of that, but it meant everything, and that's a long-winded way of getting to. It meant everything for us to show up here,
Jerry Jones.
Be here. Be in California. I think we're one of maybe 4 teams or 5 teams that are going away this year in the NFL, going away to training camp. And that says something. I actually am naive enough to believe that it actually says something about what we are and can be as a football team. We certainly are stepping out here, not the least of which, and the very reason that we made the effort to be here, is you. It was very important to the Dallas Cowboys. You're extremely important. You've heard me say this before. No one in sports appreciates what you bring to the table. To take something that lasts a second and turn it into a fable. Nobody appreciates it more than I do. The fact that we're here, the fact that you're here, meant so much to us to bring the experiences we have to training camp. What we're doing with Hard Knocks, that had everything. That was a quick decision. That had everything to do with basically saying to people of interest in sports and interest in what's going on in the country, here we are. We're back. We're coming hard. We're getting ready. I don't want to say business as usual. It'll probably never be the same. But the most important thing is we want to be the part of what it looks like when we get it right, from the standpoint of interest in sport and interest in the NFL. Y'all are a big part of it. You being here, telling these events that go on a daily basis, having it go back to the heart of our market, and having it go out there and telling everything that goes on out here on a daily basis, that had everything. That has everything to do when they turn the set on against Tampa. In my mind, how many people are looking at it on television? Everything. And we saw that last year. And so we're happy to have you here. I hope you're as excited about being here as I am to have you here. Now, with that, I want to just say this. We have as many challenges to come to a camp as I've ever experienced in any time since I've been with the Cowboys. But we are under protocol. We know how to operate under protocol. We had a lot of practice last year. We're under protocol. But let me say this regarding our team and its vaccines. everybody here, including you, everybody here in what we call Tier 1, 2, or 3 is a vaccine for the most part, if you'll give me 99% as for the most part. From that standpoint, there could be one or two that aren't. From the standpoint of the players, we have what I call in the pipeline. That's committed, but at some various stage of whether they need 2 vaccine shots and they've got 1, or whether they're waiting a period of time so that they can have had their vaccine and go through the protocol. We have, out of our 90 players here, we have a handful that, in my mind, have still to commit to this. A handful, and a hand is 5. And that's iffy in that several of, in my mind, of that finger of 5 are on their way to potentially having their vaccine. So that's where we are relative to the league at some 77%. We're very satisfied at where the Dallas Cowboys are as far as looking at our competition in the next few weeks ahead. So with that, I'll turn it over to any questions. Mike, do you have an opening remark, or would you like to take questions?
All right, here we go.
I'm not going to follow that. Let's just get right to the questions. Questions, please.
This is for the Collective Brain Trust. With the NFL procedures and policies encourage the vaccination, and Jerry, you touched on this, but what has the message been to the organization regarding vaccinations? And when you have to operate along a parallel track with people who have been vaccinated and those who haven't, do you find that disruptive, or is it just part of standard operating procedure from here on out?
We had a lot of practice last year on how to do what needs to be done if there is as many as one that hasn't, of a player that hadn't been vaccinated. We don't have any issues with our coaches. And so the protocol that we used last year is pretty much what you'll be looking at. But doable isn't the word for it. It is very practical as to how we incorporate the idea of having a handful of people that are not qualified relative to the vaccine. There'll be isolation, there'll be daily testing, there'll be limits on outside camp activities. All of those things were what we had last year. From the standpoint, and we're ready to operate on that basis. That will adhere to every California issue as far as their demands. That'll adhere to Oxnard demand. Will certainly adhere to the NFL as far as making that operate. Mike can speak to how it was last year. My opinion is that it absolutely will not limit us in any way. The issue of vaccination will limit us in any way as to being competitive as early as when we play Pittsburgh in the first preseason game.
Do you agree with Michael Irvin who says that if players are not vaccinated, he's questioning their commitment to doing everything it takes to win?
Well, Michael Irvin is the best example that I know of how much will and how much body language and how much heart and sacrifice mean to winning championships. He is that. And so when he talks, I listen. I know that. And I think he has a good reputation with the current group of players that because of his visibility and his activity with the network and where he is as an individual. So he comes with all the credibility in the world. He's a Hall of Famer. And in not only part because he's a talented football player, but a big part of why he got there was that internal commitment going above and beyond. And that's what he was trying to say, that it isn't normal things we want from each other as players. We want everything going above and beyond. And so I thought it was an outstanding message. Again, just to remind us, I don't know that I've ever talked to a member of those teams that won those 3 Super Bowls that thought we could have done it without Michael Irvin and what he brought to the locker room and to the practice field. So that was influential.
Based on what you just said, do you feel like you have your whole roster fully vaccinated by the Hall of Fame game?
I think that, and I don't want to mince, you do know we have some, can't give names. Let's just put it like that. That's just not can do. I'm totally satisfied that by the time that the Hall of Fame game is, 10 days from now, relatively speaking.
And
so
2 weeks there, buddy.
We'll be able to play
2 days.
anybody in the Hall of Fame game that we want to play. I'll answer it that way. And absent something happening between now and the Hall of Fame. What I'm comparing this to is when people say, where do you think you stand right now with the vaccination issue relative to your team? And as it pertains to, this comes to my mind, the competition. And I think we're one of the leaders.
I mean, you do understand it's a week, then it's 2 more weeks, and then it's 2 more weeks. So, it does take time when we talk about in the pipeline. And I will say this about our players. My hat's off to them. They understand that everybody was recommending the vaccine. It's recommended around the country, but they really did their homework. We provided them. They had a lot of great questions, provided them with a lot of education, a lot about the science, and I think they were able to get their hands around it.
The NFL, Stephen, has stipulated that 85% threshold. So are you saying that coming soon you will reach that threshold?
I don't know that the 85%'s been totally negotiated yet, so I think it's a work in progress. But yes, I do think we'll hit that threshold and more.
You talk about those messaging or conversations, and this is for all 3 of you. Did you guys pick up the phone and call players that still had concerns and walk them through some of their questions as it related to the vaccine, the limitations, and what they could expect?
Yes, just exactly as you stated. And it was a many-faceted effort with coaches and led by Mike and everybody in the organization wanted to get information and give information to so that everybody could be comfortable with their decisions.
And I think there was great communication amongst the players. Players talking to each other about, the research they had done and the, getting educated about the science. I think there was great communication and leadership, amongst the players themselves.
Mike, how did you address, again, a person making an individual choice in the context of what it means for a team? Because when you're building a team, that's a little bit different dynamic for what you're going for.
Well, I would say this is unique, with the pandemic situation that we're in. And frankly, I shared my own personal experience where the facts that I was not particularly 100% on board with the vaccination, but through the relationships that we're fortunate to have in the medical community, you watched, you listen, and I think that same approach was given to our players. We just wanted to make sure that they had all the facts. Once again, I think it's important to state that the relationships that we have in the medical community, and to be able to watch the science, the numbers, and so forth. And then, I made a conscious decision to get the vaccination, and I don't think it really the position of where we were numbers-wise, in my opinion, was more about timing. So, I think once the players recognized that, and we were continue to educate and communicate, and I think Stephen's point about their communication between themselves, and that's why we're in this position where we are. So we're very comfortable, particularly what's gone on the last couple of weeks, and I think it's like anything. It's a unique time. None of us have ever experienced this before, and I don't think it's a negative to take a step back and listen and learn and make make the right decision. And I think everybody has responded.
And Mike, what did you hear, Mike, that convinced you that it was the right thing to get the vaccine?
Well, it just wasn't one conversation. I have a personal physician. We have obviously physicians here, and I'm fortunate to have some friends and other relationships. So it was a conversation. Obviously, Jerry and Stephen and the connections our organization have. So it was just I wasn't the first one to jump, but once I felt that this was clearly the right thing to do, and that's why I went forward and got the vaccination myself personally, and so I think some people have gone about it the same way.
It's all about obviously the common goal of doing everything you can to win and being on the field. It's what happened to the NBA playoffs, the College World Series, Olympics, guys, teams who failed tests, in the middle of the World Series, players in NBA playoffs who had to miss games, important games, because they were not vaccinated because, they contracted the virus. Did that play a role in influencing the player that, hey, this could impact our long-term goals?
I think it's life. I think it's sports. I think those topics and those situations, those experiences all parallel themselves. And I just go back to what I just said. You're taking the information. We're fortunate enough to have resources and other sports, the medical community, but at the end of the day, professionally we're here to win championships, and
yay!
And this is part of the responsibility, and it's it's an educated, it's an individual choice, and like you said, I cannot say enough about our organization and our players, and we're very, very comfortable, very happy where we are.
Yeah, and I'll give a fact. I'll just have to say that this is a fact. This is not an opinion. This is a fact. There's not one thing about this issue of vaccine as it pertains to the COVID that in any way relative to the other 31 teams in the NFL will put us at a competitive disadvantage. We are right there with the same spot that other teams that are able to compete. The key thing is, and that obviously has a lot of interpretation, and you can do those for yourself, but go down everything that you could think of, and I will report to you factually that we're able to stand up with anybody there is and be able to compete any day relative to all the issues about vaccine.
Can you provide an update on the health of the team, vaccine aside? A number of players were on the field in the spring, held out precautions or because they're working back from injuries. Which players do you expect not to be ready come tomorrow when practice starts?
I think that's really for a further conversation, because obviously we have the testing going on right now. We have not seen the medical staff yet since the physicals this morning. The majority of it is a check-in, but we'll get that to you.
A lot of firsts for you last season as you joined the Dallas Cowboys. How much did it help, though, to have Dak get his extension, be in the building, and be around him this offseason? How did you see your relationship with him evolve?
Well, I mean, it was great to get Dak back, on every level, no question. I mean, just what he went through with the injury, but one thing about Dak, he's the same man every day. I mean, he's been there, he's been in the facility every single day since the injury, but from a performance standpoint, I think we're stating the obvious. I mean, he's an outstanding quarterback that has great days in front of him. So, but his leadership and all that, to me, that's part of the contract. When players receive big contracts, I view it, and this is my opinion, that obviously they're being rewarded, recognized for what they do on Sundays, but the responsibility that they have Monday through Saturday greatly increases. And nobody emulates that more than Dak Prescott. So it was great to get him back. And I can't say enough about our off-season program. We definitely hit all the targets that we wanted to. And even for some of the challenges that we didn't foresee coming that were upon us, in the first 3 or 4 weeks, our players did a phenomenal job. So that's something that frankly changed the way we're going to practice and some of the things we're going to practice early in camp because of the excellent commitment and what we were able to accomplish in the off-season program.
Targets.
Excuse me?
Well,
number one is participation. I don't really want to go back to that, but the participation of our players, the participation of our players the last 5 weeks since we broke the off-season program has been incredible. The participation of our players prior to the April start of the off-season program is excellent. So we have a lot to build on. We feel like we clearly hit the targets in the classroom. We were significantly better in the virtual realm of it, learning from last year. So we were able to get through all 8 installs, which it takes for us offense and defensively. So we'll be able to really kind of we're looking at training camp as clearly a review and where we can just really focus in on the mental and get into more game management type things early, right out of the gate that you usually build up to in a normal training camp. So, a lot of ways it feels like the first year because we're getting to do things for the first time. But for the climate that we were in the off season, I thought our players knocked it out of the park.
Mike, what's your idea right now of what Dak's physical participation will look like in practice and preseason games compared to a guy not coming off his injury?
I mean, unless something comes out of the medical, the medical meeting, I see for him to be a full participant. And but it's still projection and see how it goes. Obviously, we're going to watch it, but the way we approached the off-season program was to keep him out of the team drills, but he will participate in the team drills. So that was really the last hurdle as I view it in practice.
Mike, what are your thoughts on the Hard Knocks cameras being around? Did you need to be talked into it at all?
Well, no, I'm just going to be honest. I mean, I wrecked my truck when Jerry called me. I was driving through a rainstorm, but once I got back on the road, I'm all in. So I'm excited about it. He actually gave me his glasses on the way in. I think we're good. So.
On that, through the years, when Hard Knocks goes on, people get perceptions of coaches. Some of them are good, some of them are bad. Dave Campbell did it. There were things that people were kind of tough on Campbell about. Jackson did it. People were tough on. Rex Ryan did it. A lot of people liked it. Are you concerned about your perception based off what this television show will bring about?
I mean, that's an excellent question, and frankly, it's one I really haven't entertained. I think it's important for all of us, and it's really the message actually meeting with the Hard Knock staff was just to be yourself. Let them do their job, and we're going to do ours, and that's really my focus. So I've never put a lot of time or effort to really cared about what people think of me. That's why I was probably the only guy who walked in here without sunglasses. But it's we're just going to be ourselves. But our focus is really on establishing the winning culture. This is our first opportunity as a football team to have a true training camp, and I mean, we're so blessed and fortunate to have this facility, this setup, our organization, the relationship they have here, and why we're here, all those things. So I'm really taking that in, and we're all just excited to get on the field, and get going, and start building what we know what we can accomplish. Because at the end of the day, it's about winning the world championship. Nothing else really matters, and it's a long ways away. You look at these opportunities each and every year. It's really about a 300-day process. We're 92, 93 days into that process. So training camp is the most important part for a football team. I think the fact that we're away and the setup and just watching the guys interact last night, there's so much that we can do emotionally with the connection and the bonds that are formed in this type of setup here. So I'm just looking forward to get started.
It seems like Zeke's worked with a trainer this offseason. He's posted videos. His physique is more impressive than normal, it seems to me. What impression has he made on you in that regard as you get started?
I mean, really, the first thing I wanted to really get clarified on that social media post, was that Joe Looney standing next to him? Or was that really? Yeah, okay, good. All right. Because he looks great, but I was like, I don't remember that guy, but in a 21 jersey. But no, he looks great. And Zeke's been here. I mean, he's been here the whole time. I mean, I can't say enough about him. I really enjoy working with him. He sits in the front row every team meeting. He comes to the quarterback meeting. He's in the O-line meetings early. So, but yeah, I think we have so many of our veteran players have really just stepped forward, and that's what you need. Every team I've ever coached, particularly as a head coach, you always you have your younger group and your older guys, and them older guys got to pull the younger guys along, and then when that comes together, I mean, you have a chance to do something special, and we definitely have the right men.
You guys do your post-mortem at the end of the season, and you have Zeke in your office. What was the message to him after what I know he felt was a disappointing season for even himself?
Well, I think post-mortems, I wouldn't use that word. Actually, the interview's a little friendlier, but it's, I think all of us, last year was hard. I don't know other way. It's no excuse. I mean, every year you have adversity that you go through as a football team, both personally and professionally, and last year we were definitely on the high end. So we will be better from that. I'm convinced of that, and I think it points to the players, Zeke included. But I think the answer to your question is the fact that he was back in the facility working out, a week or two right after the season tells you exactly the focus, and he's been a great example for our young players.
Jerry, what's your expectations for this team this season? Like, when you look at the roster, you have coaching staff, most of it back for a second year. What are your expectations for this year's Cowboys team?
Well, I have to give us a arrow up regarding having Dak and also being
somebody dropped the camera,
have better health in our offensive line, and so that I would hope that without the turnovers that went with them, that we could get back to the early part of the season last year when we were really ginning offensively. We need to eliminate some of those turnovers, but that we were having during that time as well. Defensively, I would think that it's going to be a different ball game. And we've got a lot of the kind of thing that you can make good defenses out of. We've got size. We've got speed. We've got people that know how to take that, and a lot of times the stuff that goes with it, which is inexperience, I think we've got a way to make it work big for this season. You put those two things together, and I think we've got a chance to be a real good team.
Mike and Steven, with what happened last year, do you, with all the injuries and other things, do you consider it an aberration, and this year's the chance for you, Mike, and the team to show what you're really about, or did it expose some things that maybe you weren't ready going into this season? How do you view it? Was it an aberration, or was it kind of lay the groundwork for what needed to be done?
I think it's both.
Yeah,
I think it's both. I think that we all fortunate enough to be in the league as long as we have. You have statistics, the medical component. It's no different. So when you look at the injuries, the type of injuries, the comparables are a bit off just because of the off-season program leading up to it, the way the training camp went. So that's part of it, but also. It's an opportunity. Anytime you have adversity, negativity, those are all great experiences you can build off of. So, and it definitely gets. I feel it will pay forward and has paid forward because of the way the players reacted, the way the reaction of the changes we made, and the way we were able to utilize that in the off-season program. I think you're going to see a lot of benefits from it. So we got a really good foundation, but I think it's the combination of both.
Yeah, I think you're sticking your head in the sand if you don't say it's both. I think there's no question. We had an inordinate, probably, if you look at our time with the team, 30-plus years, I don't think we've ever had, that many, top players in terms, if you take percentage of salary cap, however you want to look at it, missed games. Not just one time we were playing with our, I think our fifth and sixth tackles out there, but that's no excuse. You've got to overcome those things. But obviously we felt like it was more than that. We made changes on defense. We obviously drafted heavily to the defensive side of the ball. And, with the thought being that we are going to get a lot of these offensive players back. And, really felt good, as Jerry said, about what we were doing, in the first part of the year when we were healthy. But I do think, we did address and thought we did have a productive off season, whether it's the free agency with the veteran defensive players we put in, that we brought in, or the draft in terms of the focus on the defensive side of the ball on the draft. So I really think we've got an upgrade there. Obviously, it's about bringing everybody together. Obviously, bringing Coach Quinn in to really help that process along. I think it's going to be a huge plus for us, and we feel good about where we sit today.
Is there any position you still need to address? Would you be looking at a veteran corner, or are you comfortable with this roster as it is?
We made a major commitment to the corner position in the draft. I know a lot of people, felt like maybe we should have come away with a corner with that first pick, but, philosophically, we felt like the corners that were worthy of that first pick in that area we were in were not there. So, obviously, we feel great about Micah, and but then went ahead to address the corner position as the draft went on. And, I think the coaches feel good. We feel good about the corners that we picked, and to go along with the veteran corners we have in Diggs and Brown and Jay Lou. I think it's a great group out there. But at the same time, Our philosophy is just 365 days a year. We're always looking. If there's an opportunity to upgrade the roster, then we'll certainly look at that and address that.
Expressed disappointment with how your defense prepared last offseason. What have you seen or what do you want to see during training camp from Dan Quinn that will indicate better cohesion in the defense this year?
Well, I mean, I wouldn't say disappointment in preparation. I think it's, changing with the times. I mean, the virtual realm that we were in last year, I thought we took significant upgrades all the way around, as far as how we approached it, the resources that we have in our organization. Obviously, we had coaching staff change, so I mean it was at the forefront of my thinking going into the offseason program. So, but we've hit the target, and I think not only from a preparation standpoint, I think you look at the players that we've added. When I view the Dallas Cowboys, and I go back to the '90s. My first year in the league was 1993, and when they ran on the field, the field tilted. So I think our offensive lines and our defensive lines now emulate each other. We're bigger, we're longer, and I think that's going to prove they really help us up front defensively. So I really like the look of our guys.
You talked about the experience that you guys have lost this offseason, Sean Lee, being Tyrone. Who are the guys that you see stepping in and filling in those spots beyond the guys that have been here like Dak and Zach Martin and guys like that?
Well, I think the most important thing, it needs to be organic, and you're starting to see it already, and that's why I'm anxious to get out on the grass, because that's where the credibility, that's where the value comes from, and it carries over obviously into the locker room and all the way through. So that's to be seen. We want everybody to take on the responsibility of leadership. Leadership doesn't start once you get a second contract, doesn't start once you get to the fourth year in the league. Rookies have an opportunity to lead just by the example that they show, on how hard they work, to show that they can connect. They are, working to get on the same page as the veterans. So I've never looked at leadership, and having the experience of coaching a young team each and every year. My past job, what I've learned is you have to create opportunities for leadership, and there's some things that we do just in our practice structure, in our meeting structure, to give guys, an opportunity to stand up and present themselves, or put guys at the front of the line. So development of leadership is a constant focus of our coaching staff, and to me it has to be organic. And but we have the right men for this, so it'll be fun to watch it all come together.
The players looking to leave Jerry is Randy Gregory. Given your investment in him over the last couple of years, does he seem a little bit more like he's bought in this offseason? He felt a little bit more clear of mind in minicamp. What stands out about him?
Were you talking to me? Or?
Yeah.
You talking to me?
Randy, I have been really impressed by the way he's stayed the course with legitimate life challenges. And he addresses them exemplary. He has to fight the kinds of things that make those challenges for people. He has to fight that. And I'm seeing him take the logic and the mentality of using what he's been through there, and I'm seeing it bring it over to his game and bring it over to his being the professional that he potentially might have a chance to be. He's got a lot of tread left on his tire. He really hasn't, if you think about it, he hadn't had a lot of wear and tear relative to as many years as he's now been with the Cowboys. I like that. That's always excited me, that it's, even as we speak today, it's the what's out ahead of him that excites me the most. I believe that the structure that we now have in the NFL as a part of our new labor agreement relative to how we handle with players, we being the teams in the league, how we handle the players, really helps Randy. And so that helps him have a plan that is realistic for him and will be realistic for others too. It's not called the Randy Gregory plan at all, but it is absolutely complements what Randy needs to be operating in. And of course, he has a great way with his teammates. He's not an issue. He, as far as issues as a teammate or a player, he would be at the top 5% of not having issues. So all of those things give me a lot of optimism. And then we've never questioned his talent and his uniqueness. And so I look forward to him buoyed by his confidence level. I look forward to him really having a big year.
Was there a time where you thought it may not work with Randy, and what did he show you throughout that sort of time period of existence?
Well, we kept talking and we kept trying. And that's 99% of it in my mind, almost about most things. We just didn't quit. And he had, when I say we, I'm talking about Randy. And we just didn't quit. He's always been worth, in terms of just being a person, he's been worth the extra, if you will, investment
Like
of
that,
time, interest, everything that comes with building a roster. The next question is, I've never seen any time when he was a takeaway from being involved with the team. Not one time. Now you say, well, boy, you'd like to have him out there sacking somebody right in the fourth quarter. If that's a takeaway, that is a takeaway. But certainly he kept it at a level that, frankly, he had a lot of experts that would basically attest to Randy needs a different system. And so he's all right.
Jerry, this question's for you and Steven here. When you guys first bought the team in '89, you're winning Super Bowls by 92, 93, 95. Now the last 20 years you've gone through with 5 coaches. You only had 7 playoff appearances. You only 8 games over 500. How can you all get yourselves back to where you used to be when you first came to this league and you were winning?
Yeah. Well, we need to have a Charles Haley appear. You follow me? Because we got him and we started going to Super Bowls. Well, but you say, well, Charles didn't do it himself. Of course not. But he was a big, impactful player. And we took some risk, and he, first to tell you, and he was an impactful player for us. Obviously, Deion Sanders helped get to some Super Bowls. I'm not talking about the very obvious, and that was
Jimmy Johnson helped you get some Super Bowls.
That Coach referred to, of the players that we that brought with us when we first got here. I think we've got a combination right now, seriously, and I'm not making comparisons, and you can get in so much trouble doing that. But I think we've got a combination, I think Coach is right, of youth players, talent, as well as we've got some solid, talented veteran players. And when you look at our top 10, 11 paid guys, they're guys that can make major contributions to this team. We had a core base like that in those championship years that made that core base, yet we had some talented young guys come through. We're starting to look like that when you look at team makeup. Now, I'm not comparing Troy and Dak, or I'm not comparing Emmett and Zeke. I'm not doing that at all, or certainly not comparing Michael with anybody we've got at all. But as I started this meeting off with, Michael is a special thing. Do we dare think we could have one of those on this team that would have that kind of leadership role? We may have it.
Only thing I'd add to that
is, might be your quarterback.
Well, that's it. I think you just hit on it. I think Dak's rare. I think obviously we stepped up and made him the highest paid player in the league for a reason. And I think he's got rare traits, leadership traits, winning traits, leadership traits. He's unique. And I think you couple that with, as Jerry said, some optimism we have with some of our pass rushers, our offensive line, Zeke, and then you pair that with the guy sitting next to me. He's obviously been to 4 championship games, won a Super Bowl. The leadership he brings to the table, I think, can make a huge difference. And then, of course, we brought in Dan Quinn, who was real close to winning one, got his team to the Super Bowl. So we've got people with pedigree here that I think can help us take the next step.
Mike, when do you begin to see
And
that?
we didn't exactly start off in those championship years, as you well know. We won one football game the first year out, and people called us a high school team. And so it wasn't exactly like we were the belle of the ball, so to speak.
Is there a time where you have all those players and you start seeing them on the field that you really feel like this is the team that's going to get there and be there? Is there a point in time where that happens?
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, I think that you just have to be realistic. From my approach, is it takes time. I mean, we're not going to go out there and have a great 2-hour practice tomorrow and say, okay, we're ready to go. I don't think that's realistic, and it's never been my experience. I think the most important thing is I've always looked at it as thresholds and targets. And as long as you keep moving towards that, because really training camp is twofold. You're not only getting your team ready to win games and create a winning culture, you also have the competition and the development of your roster. So, and I think when you look at our 89, 90-man roster right now, we're going to have a very, very competitive, if you look at the D-line, you got some positions that there's some guys going to really have to play. We're going to have to, how we play them and make sure we give those guys the opportunity to win a spot on this team. So that's really where my focus is. But yeah, there's always a point where, and it's usually in that second and third preseason game where you start to see what you want to see, and then you have to, and you go through the part, the fourth preseason game, and then you get into getting ready for the first game too. So some highs and lows, thresholds and targets, but yeah, definitely. I hope we see that sooner than later.
Mike, there's some time before padded practices can begin. What was your philosophy when scripting the opening practices in terms of what you want to establish or accomplish?
Well, traditionally, you have a full off-season program. You get through pretty much everything that you want to put in, and then when you start training camp, you go back and start over again because the younger players need the reps. We're taking a little different approach. We're going to go back through the install, but we want to advance our
ready to start
the situation. See, it's just like anything in this game. Everybody has the same amount of time. Everybody has the same amount of practices, and how much you spend on this situation as opposed to another. That to me, that's where coaching comes into play. That's part of the formula of practicing the right way. I've never been one to just white out the date from the year before, and I think you get your ass in trouble that way. I think you really have to tailor each and every practice to who you are, what you're trying to be, and really reflect to the vibe and in the rhythm of what's going on too. Now, I mean, we have the first 12 practice, everything's scripted, but by no means is that it will be adjusted. That's just the way I've always done it, because you have to evolve, and you have to evolve with your team. But we're going to get into more situational work quicker in this training camp than I have in the past. So that's I don't even know if you'll even notice it, but so that's what I focus on, particularly in the time off.
Mike, can you address the fine the team received in the offseason for violation of the all-season program? Whether you agree with it, appeal, just your thoughts on that.
Oh, definitely. I had a very good conversation with the league office. I thought it was informative. I think they're in a very tough spot. Not as tough as my spot because it came out of my pocket, but I think first and foremost we're doing it the right way. I mean, there's no question about that. Our players are trying to do it the right way. I think there was 7 or 9 plays that we looked at as a group, and frankly, the majority of them involved younger players. So, to me, it's a learning experience. I think, like anything in life, if you're punished for trying to do too much the right way as opposed to not doing enough the right way, I think that's a healthy experience to learn from.
Change up, you want to do more situational work in comparison to previous years.
I'm sorry?
Why you want to do more situational work at camp in comparison to previous years?
I just think it's where we are. I think it's what we need. I mean, there's things that you learn about every team you coach, and strengths and I hate to say weaknesses, but strengths that you really want to build off of. But that's an area we need to be better. So we need to do more of it. And frankly, that's the game. I mean, 8 games a year are going to come down to the final drive. So that's pretty clear that will factor in your playoff run, will factor in your playoff seed. So, we start preparing for that back in the off season. So we need to focus more on game situation, particularly the final 8, 2-minute drills, and we did more 2-minute drills last year than I've ever had, and it was something I go back to my experience in 2008, young quarterback starting for the first time in Aaron Rodgers, and we had a bunch of games come down to 2-minute that we didn't get it done, and we finished 6-10. So since then, I've always, like I said, we all have the same amount of time. You all have the same amount of practices. So I've always done a lot of 2-minute drills and so forth. We've exceeded that last year. These are just things I think we need to continue to work on. I think it's a reflection of the game. I think the rules changes. I think all those things factor in how these games are being played compared to the way they were played 10 years ago. So situational football has always been important, but how much time do you put into the up-tempo offenses, which is obviously you got to get your defense ready, so forth. We need to do a better job playing complementary football. We were not very complimentary even at the beginning of the season last year. So with that, those are really the 2 focal points that we're going to focus on as we get going.
Where's your sense of urgency right now? You talked several times over the past few years about you don't have time to have a bad time, and we come out here many times, and you were very confident about this team 2 years ago. It's the most talented team we've had since the 90s. Is this the team that can finally get back to the Super Bowl? I mean, is that where your urgency is?
Well, you've often heard me say you would be shocked if I could write a check and know that I was going to get the Super Bowl, what you would do with that. But I don't want to confuse this with not being realistic. I've always had to be pragmatic at the end of the day, because if not, you'll end up on the outside looking in. You have to be real. But on the other hand, I've never thought that we couldn't be better, or never thought that we couldn't make it happen, even when we were not as on paper, or we weren't as technically as good or sound. But I've never thought that, and I've got too many examples of how shorthanded people have knocked them out of the park before, and a lot of them in a lot of different areas. And so I really don't know that I have any days or have any weeks, but what I don't think, there's a pony in here somewhere. And so and have a lot of the days when you've got to ask yourself is what are you doing in the middle of this? So that served me well. That served me well. This isn't an I, me, but I've had a lot of people tell me you're naive, or say that he's naive. Well, it's a beautiful world. It's a better world to be naive than to be skeptical and be negative all the time. And so I do my best work, I think, when it's more positive. And so I need it to be promising, and I need us to have a way to go. That causes me to do stupid things, or it causes me to do excessive things that sometimes really work. And that's been the way I played the cards.
In the past that you made these deals with the devil to win these Super Bowls. When things just kept working against you guys last year, did you feel like he was cashing in? And how anxious are you to get to Thursday Night Football and put last year behind you?
Well, I found that he's not quite as responsive to one's individual asks as you might think. And I'm not trying to be sacrilegious here, but the facts are that I would right now, if I could, and I knew had a good chance to do it, I'd do anything known to man to get in a Super Bowl. That's a fact. And there's nothing in my mind that can have a higher priority than that. And as you know, sometimes you have to make decisions to go back to step forward. And we're faced with that in building a squad. You can't have it all. And you've got to, you would like to, you see several ways that you might be able to do something from my perspective to get better. But that'll end up costing you down the road. That's the pragmatic part when it goes. But I feel as driven as I was when we first bought the team. And I was scared to death then. I'm scared to death now. I worry about what's happening out here around the economy, the COVID, and I worry about our place in it in the NFL and where the place is in sports. I worry about that. But the thing that means the most to me and I care about, and I could probably be anywhere in the world I want to be right now. I want to be here with our team.
Jerry, Jimmy John's going to Hall of Fame. Can you just talk about Jimmy for a second?
Well, I'm never have a time of year like we are coming into training camp. But what I don't remember, the very first training camp that we went to with Thousand Oaks. And I brought Larry Lacewell out, who was going to join the Cowboys 4 or 5 years later, I think, from the time we bought. I forget how many years it was. But Larry rode out with me. I didn't come out the day the team came, but I brought him out, and a guy that owned a team in the Donald Trump League. That was a minority team, and Donald Trump. And so we all three rode out. And I remember stepping out, coming out to Thousand Oaks, smelling that grass, being out where the great tradition of the Cowboys were with training camp. And I just had to pinch myself to think that I got to be a part of that. I remember getting on a bus with the whole team a couple of weeks later and coming up Highway 1 from Thousand Oaks, and we pulled up right out here. And Al Davis was here. He had big black screens blocking all this off. Al Davis was out here, came through that gate, and Al Davis, and I looked up to him so much. And Al Davis came over. Boy, here we were, out here playing football, out on it. And I had died and gone to heaven just to have that kind of experience. I was inspired to get to be a part of that, but I never wasn't afraid that this thing was going to go the other way on you, and a lot of things go wrong. We got a lot of answers today that we didn't have back then at that time. But the idea of being a part and coming to training camp goes to my mind, and of course Jimmy was involved in those days. And so all of that comes to my mind when I think of those times. We actually were together here 4.5 years. Now, I'd known him for 10 or 15 years before that, or 20 years before that, and thought the world of him, or he wouldn't have been the coach of the Cowboys. And so when I look back at the time that we got to enjoy and what happened to us during that time, I go back to what Barry Switzer said. Barry Switzer came in the office, and Jimmy had just left. And so Barry came down from Norman, Oklahoma to talk about getting the job. And he comes in and he said, "Where's Jimmy?" Now, Barry had coached us both. He said, "Where's Jimmy?" And I said, "Jimmy's gone." He said, "Well, that's not right. Get him in here." I said, "Where's Jimmy?" I said, "Barry, Jimmy's gone. We're sitting here talking about you being the coach." I said, "What in the world are you so anxious to talk to Jimmy about?" He said, "I just wanted to get both you little assholes on this couch and ask you both, how could you fuck this up?"
Thank you. Thank you.
That was Switzer. I don't know what.
Can you think about how you could do that now? I mean,
well, I just think of those great times. And Jimmy's great coach, and ridiculous that my role here was my job to keep it together. It was my job. It should have had deference to something that was working good. So those are the things that come to my mind. We had a great run of it. He's a great coach, and I'm proud to have him as a friend and proud to have had the times that we had. We just had a great experience.
Is he tearing up?
Question now?
What?
Do you think you could answer Barry's question now?
I've never been able to know why. I fucked it up. That, not just that, but anything else. No, I can't answer those questions.
Did he just admit that he made a mistake?
Would Jimmy go in the Ring of Honor this year?
You know, I don't want to do anything that takes away from this year. You know, he'll have a year, provided everything goes good. He'll have a year that we also honor his Hall of Fame.
Holy moly.
And it will be this year, and during the season at some time. David Baker will come down. So we don't want to do anything that makes that happen. I'm excited. Actually, I was the one that with David Baker when Jimmy was put in the hall there 2 years ago or last year, not this year, but a year ago. I said, look, the Cowboys need to play in the Hall of Fame game, and he agreed, and he wanted that to be done. That was a condition. Well, when they canceled the game last year, David said the first thing he did was call and say before, not that it's a condition because we need to cancel it anyway, but will you commit to play the next year? So really we've been standing there waiting to play this game relative to this time when they come in the Ring of Honor, and of course we've got two other absolutely great Dallas Cowboy players going in up there too. So it's really propitious that we've got that game.
You do plan to put Jimmy in the Ring of Honor at some point in the near future?
And let's don't knock all the fun out of it.
Wow. Guys, he just admitted that he fucked up.
Excuse me, I can't hear you with that mask. I got to see those lips.
Jerry, you were one of the big forces in getting the NFL back to Los Angeles. We're a couple weeks out from the first game with fans in SoFi. How would you grade the return to Los Angeles so far from a league's perspective?
Well, first of all,
I almost want to leave now.
Los Angeles has always been a jewel and a jewel potential for the NFL. Not just the Rams, but for the NFL. And we have recently built that joins, I'm not sure it technically joins, but it's right beside it, our NFL network. And the network headquarters are right there at the stadium. And so I've often used this illustration. I really hope that when we think of the entertainment capital of the world, when we think of Hollywood, rather than seeing that crooked sign up on the mountain Hollywood, what you're going to see is SoFi Stadium, and that's when you're zooming in, and that's Hollywood. That's what the entertainment capital of the world is. And I think that stadium reaches that stature when I think about what it can mean for the NFL and Los Angeles and for everybody involved relative to sport. When we discussed this, I'm chairman of that committee, and when we discussed it, there was a debate about whether to move that headquarters from New York to move it there. And of course, that's the talent part. That's where we have a lot of the content done, apart from the games themselves, are done with that group of people in the NFL. Well, that's the headquarters of it now. And the headquarters, of course, is sitting right there, and you can't miss it. It's gorgeous. And while we're out here, I want to go down and take a look at it, but I've heard it really works good. All of that ties into the picture of what you want the NFL to have going for it when you think of the perception of the NFL. And I think Los Angeles does that. And by the way, that was my point about we need Stan Kroenke, we need the Rams, we've got it all fits, and we need to be have that kind of aura and that kind of image about the NFL that stadium will do. So it covered a lot of ground.
Last one, Joe Trahan, last one.
Yeah, we've heard you get emotional several times in just these last few minutes. Can you share with us where this particular amount of emotion stemmed from?
Well, I think it's being here today. Really, I started off a little sentimental when I actually went over and shook Ducey's hand. But so I'm really, after Ducey ran me off his show. I've forgotten it too, Mike. But seriously, what you're seeing is just how good it feels to be here. Doggone, just as much as I enjoy this stuff, I get to thinking, well, are you ever going to see that again? Are you ever going to be sitting up there talking to everybody again at the same time? And so I do. I guess I'm not going to apologize, but I am sensitive today and emotional about the whole show.
Thank you, guys. We got to run.
But not coming out here, kill me. Just kill me. And frankly, I'm not. I know I'm patronizing you, but I'm not intending to. It's you. It is you. It is the show you make it, and goes back to our fans and the fact that we're out here kicking this thing off, and it's such an important thing. And then you look at when the season started, we didn't have this kind of build-up. Not just the Cowboys, but the NFL.
Wow.
And we suffered. We need the preseason. We need this. We need you to make this thing go. Those ratings are important to have you. And I'm not talking about the preseason game. I'm talking about the regular season games.
Oh, we'll be at the first preseason game, by the way, Jerry.
Got all your stuff, Jerry?
Oh, my Lord. Oh, my. Guys, you know what? I'm sorry about I apologize. You know, I got to go work with power tools. I got to go out here and build some cabinets and things. But what you just literally saw was Jerry Jones admitting that he, excuse my language, fucked up firing Jimmy Johnson. Oh, my God. And cried about it. You know what? Maybe this is one of those things that it's been a curse for the Dallas Cowboys because of his pride. You know, I've got to get off of here and do a video after taking that big ass stealing some of Joe Boo's rum. Maybe, my God, maybe the curse could be lifted. Am I crazy to think that? I'm glad that you guys were here to watch this with me together. This was insane. You just saw a side of Jerry. Oh my God! You know what? I got to just take a moment here for a second because, James, there's something, goddammit, because you can't look at a team that back in 2007 had 13 Pro Bowlers, had a top defense and Tony Romo and all the weapons and stuff, and still just get the shit kicked out of us. Sometimes no. See, here's the thing that's crazy, because the Cowboys had so many times where you looked at it and said, that's a victory. I'm talking about times like, for example, where you're up by 21 points against the Lions and somehow the Lions come back and win. I'm talking about when you were up against the Green Bay Packers, not with Aaron Rodgers, but Matt Flynn, 26-3, and somehow you lose the game. I'm talking about calls that just end up coming out of nowhere and literally shit that's just like, how does that happen? It's like this team has been cursed, and maybe it's because of Jerry Jones. You know, he had sold his soul to the devil. This makes me question, is this his come to Jesus moment of confessing his sins and saying, I am the reason why we have been freaking cursed for the last 25 years because of my damn pride and all of these things of looking for it and coming to Jesus and saying, I screwed it up, Cowboys Nation. I'm the reason why we have had this bad mojo going, and I'm looking for forgiveness. But, you're right. DT, you were right. Like I said, I need to take a moment before I go work on power tools. But to me, that was just like I had this whole feeling that literally just washed over me and gave me chills for Jerry Jones to give that story. He's had that story for 26 years now of Barry Switzer literally saying, where's Jimmy? Where's Jimmy? Where is Jimmy? Because I want to get you two on the couch and say, how could you fuck this up? How could you fuck this up? Yeah, I'll take the job, but how could you fuck this up? Jerry literally, okay, Zeppelin fan, shout out to you, Zeppelin fan. I've missed you a lot, man. It's crazy. I have so many wonderful fans that have helped me along the way that I feel like crying right now because, oh my God. I don't know, see if you understand the gravity of this. Jerry Jones's pride is the reason why we did not win more Super Bowls back in the 90s. It was Jerry Jones saying, I want the credit for being the guy who did this. I don't want to give any of this to Jimmy Johnson. And so it was me who ended up saying, if you remember, if you've been around that long, it was him saying, with the team that I built, any number of 500 guys could have coached that team to a Super Bowl, and then proving, saying that, I'll bring in Barry Switzer. And they won not because of Barry Switzer, but in spite of him. You saw the dynamic with Troy Aikman, how it was that Troy Aikman didn't jive with it. And you saw how that team literally went down. And then you see this 25 years. This reminds me of the Lions with Lane Johnson, who they ended up, I can't remember the exact details, but Lane Johnson basically put a 50-year curse on the Lions. And you look at the Lions, who have yet to win a playoff game in over 60 years, that it was that moment where they dissed Lane Johnson. But Jerry Jones went on there and told this story, not being asked about it, but literally, basically, I think, asking for forgiveness of this and realizing and admitting to the whole world and all of you that are here watching right now that I screwed up. Telling this story of Barry Switzer coming into his office and saying, where's Jimmy? Where's Jimmy? Hey, Barry, I'm not talking about Jimmy Johnson. I'm talking to you because, we're working out where you're going to be the head coach. Where's Jimmy? Hearing that Barry Switzer, it's where's Jimmy? Where's Jimmy? I want to know where Jimmy is. Barry, listen, this is nothing to do with Barry Switzer. It's just you and me. He said, no, I want Jimmy Johnson and get both of you on the couch and say, how could you fuck this up? Jerry Jones literally admitted the 26-year-long lie of saying that I am the GM, I am the God, I am the reason why the Dallas Cowboys won, and admitting that he was 100% wrong. He was literally repenting and saying, football gods, I was wrong. I am the reason why the Dallas Cowboys have been cursed. And I want to make amends for it. He didn't want to talk about when Jimmy Johnson was going to be in the Ring of Honor, and things, but that they were going to celebrate Jimmy Johnson being put into the Hall of Fame. I can guarantee you that right now that Jerry Jones is saying, before that, oh my God, I wanted to stop this and go ahead and do a video and put this video up. But he literally cried about this. Oh my God. But I can guarantee you that this is going to be the floodgates opening up of Jerry Jones basically saying that I am the one to blame. Mark and Jerry full of shit. You know what? Fuck you, Onion 77. Okay, you know what? Screw you. Here's the significance of this because, see, I'm 55 years old. I know that I have less years in front of me than I have behind me. And when you start thinking about your own mortality and how much time you have left, then all of a sudden you start thinking about the end and what you're doing. He literally said, I would do anything to win a Super Bowl again. He then goes on to say that I'm the reason why the Dallas Cowboys have been cursed because of my own self. I fucked this, and he said, fucked this up. So, YouTube police, excuse me, but I'm going to put it out there exactly as he said it. I fucked this up. And I think he was reflecting on the 25 years where he's been here year after year and loving and thinking, guys, I have put this team together, and this is going to be the year that I can go ahead and say that I am the man that built the Dallas Cowboys, that I am the great GM, that I am the reason that we won those 3. But realizing himself that he failed the Dallas Cowboys, that he is not the guy that should have been in charge, that I have screwed you, Cowboy fans. It's you guys out there that are supporting me and the NFL, that you guys out here that have been here with me. I want to basically, I'm thinking of, oh my God, I'm thinking about Planet of the Apes, where the guy literally puts his hand out, and says, I'm in your debt. I'm sorry. You were right. I was wrong. And I'm begging for forgiveness. And I also think, and this is where, I'm going on, and it might be because I took one hell of a shot of rum, okay? I stole Joe Boo's. This is the good shit right here, too, right now, okay? Guys, when you see me pull out this flask right here, shout out to Joe Boo's Sports Report fan who gave me this flask, okay? This is the honor flask, okay? This has got my the Ron Zappa right here, okay? We talking about, a $90 bottle of rum. When I pull this shit out, shit is real. Shit is real, and I hadn't had nothing to eat today, so that shit's gone to my head. So you're getting bonus time that is literally crazy right now. But to see Jerry Jones, who 25 years we've seen Jerry, talking about, Jerry Jones talking about, I want me some glory hole days, and this team is here together, and we put it all together. To literally say, I fucked up. I fucked up. I'm the reason why we did not win more Super Bowls, and look at himself in the mirror and say, I'm the reason, please forgive me, is groundbreaking. I'm sorry, it's groundbreaking, because you can go back through, and like I said, I've had a whole bunch of rum here. And I may be crazy right now, but it's like sometimes some of the things that happen have not made sense, okay? I think about the catch, no catch. Everybody else, had that been any other team but the Dallas Cowboys, they would have said, that's a catch. That's a catch. Des Bryant caught it, and it ends up being a touchdown. But so many times you look at shit, we look at it over and over, and after the game, we see everybody saying, that was just wrong. How did that happen? How do you lose a game that you're up 26-3 at halftime? To Matt Flynn. Matt Flynn and the Green Bay Packers. It's almost like the football god said, Jerry Jones, you are cursed. We're going to take this away from you. We are literally going to take this. We're going to make you think that you've got it. That this time it's in your hands. We're going to make it more painful because you're going to think you got it. And then you're going to feel the agony of feet as our wrath is pouring down on you because of your own sins. Jacob, I wasn't even thinking about it, but exactly. The field goal with Tony Romo holding the football. Tony Romo never fumbled it. How is it that happens in Seattle? All you got to do is hold the damn ball, let him kick it, we win. How has it happened that literally Dak Prescott and crew go down the field against Aaron Rodgers as a rookie? They literally, you don't expect Dak Prescott and the Dallas Cowboys to compete after losing Tony Romo, but to have a 4th-round draft pick come through and beat like Pittsburgh, in Pittsburgh, something that a rookie has never, ever done, to go through and be 13-3, to go to the playoffs, to fall behind Aaron frickin' Rodgers, but to have this rookie throw 304 yards, throw 3 touchdown passes, to go through and take the lead in the game, and somehow with 40 seconds left, Aaron Rodgers with an impossible play where their team holds and throws a hail prayer to the sidelines, and this guy catches it and ends up beating us. You look at that and say, how does this shit happen? How does it happen? Because the football gods were angry at Jerry freaking Jones. Tony Douglas, you are 100% right. Dak outplayed Aaron freaking Rodgers head and shoulders. Head and shoulders. But somehow divine intervention came through and kicked our ass. You know, I've got to do a live stream with my man D2 Stu in less than an hour. And I just feel like just saying, fuck everything today. Just fuck everything today. Let me get Joe Boo's good bottle, fill up this thing, and just sit here and get drunk. Because we have looked for Jerry Jones for years to say, Jerry, you're not the guy. But it started out 6 months ago when he said, I am the GM. And when you're the GM and the owner, you can't fire yourself. What you got to do is literally fix yourself. You have to be the one that makes a difference. And we've seen, I'm like literally mystified right now, guys. I'm mystified. But literally, Lola, thank you for that. I appreciate everybody that's in here that's hearing a drunk Mark Holmes, because Jerry Jones, here I'm going to give you guys, you know what? Wow. D2 Stu, what's up, man? Sometimes things happen in life that you think are just random circumstances. And sometimes you feel like things are guiding you. You can call me crazy. And, when Philly 500 yesterday was like, oh, you know what? I want to bet you Joe Boo's head. And I'm like, no, you never bet anything more than you can ever lose. And that's where I actually said to him, would you put your kids on the line? For me to be here with you guys and actually carrying on a conversation is so crazy. I swear, it is literally crazy. You're talking about a guy who could not put 2 words together, could not speak in public, who was shy, who stuttered, who's dyslexic, who, I'm going to let you guys in on a secret here. I used to be so computer illiterate. And this is where you realize that life is crazy, and sometimes you kind of say, the fuck is going on? It would be 2002. I decided I was going to become more computer literate because I didn't know shit about a computer. I was a single parent that was raising my 2 kids, and I really didn't date because I didn't want to bring people in and out and have my kids see something that wasn't necessarily what you wanted. But I decided in 2002 on January 28th, that I was going to be more computer literate. No, I'm sorry. It was actually a few days before that. It was actually January 27th. I was going to be more computer literate, and what I was going to do was I was going to start using the computer more, and I decided I was going to join Match.com. I went on Match.com and made a profile because, the kids were a little bit older and I needed to start trying to, date. It had been, 5 years since I'd been divorced. Michael was about 10 years old or so, and things. And I said, maybe it's time. And so I went on Match.com, and I remember my daughter had a Barbie camera, which was like a 0.3 megapixel camera, and took some pictures of myself and went on there. And the funny thing was, my current wife, who I'd met in college and fell in love with, but she was like, "You crazy, Mark." In college, we can be friends, and we became great friends, and we kept running into each other over and over and over again. But it was crazy because she saw this profile that popped up on hers, and the next day we had lunch, and it was exactly a year later that we ended up getting married. And it's like, how does that happen? Okay, so you understand where I am. Again, I've always been shy. But since I started doing the Joe, good old Joe Boo, which originally started out kind of as a joke, it's always felt like there's something that's putting this together piece by piece by piece and coming in here. And now, for me to talk to Jimmy Johnson just last week and hearing Jimmy Johnson kind of say that, he didn't come out like Jerry did, but basically said, who knows what would happen, and to be questioned about the Ring of Honor and stuff. And he said, well, I've talked to Jerry, and, one of those days that Jerry's had a few drinks and stuff, it'll be finally when it all comes through, was unbelievable. And to feel, I'm probably crazy, and I probably had too much of Joe Boo's rum to drink here, but I felt like I had a connection with Jimmy Johnson. And now to know that 2 weeks from tomorrow that I'm going to the NFL Hall of Fame, and having met Jerry Jones, and at commissioners' parties over the years and things, and talking to him, I have a press pass. And for me, I could go up and ask Jerry Jones about this. And to have this happen, to know that Jimmy Johnson is going to be at the Pro Football Hall of Fame being inducted, to know that Jerry Jones and the Dallas Cowboys are going to the Pro Football Hall of Fame, for him to turn around and admit that I'm the reason why we did not win more, is just crazy. This is like everything in the universe colliding and coming together to a head, and this is going to be crazy. And Joe Boo Sports is going to be there. Holy shit! Holy shit. And it keeps, I've been blessed by a guy who has said, Mark, I love what you do, and you need to be out there more. I am so literally living in like fantasy world, like I'm going to wake up from a dream. Because if I were to say, what I would love to see is Jerry Jones repent and admit that Jimmy Johnson and him should have never left. That would be my dream. Christopher, sorry I'm rambling, buddy. I'm sorry. But I've got a whole wave of emotions that are going on. And, if I'm rambling too much, I appreciate you being here. But you've got to understand, I had some of Joe Boo's rum, and I've got Jerry Jones admitting that he fucked up, okay? I'm just going crazy, and I've got literally a wave of emotion that's going through me right now that Jerry Jones has admitted. Here's what, okay, Christopher. You got to understand. You might see at the Pro Football Hall of Fame Jerry Jones and Jimmy together. This is Jimmy Johnson's, being put in the Hall of Fame because of the work that he did, and Jerry Jones admitting that he screwed it up and should have been more. And these guys will be there together because, of course, the Dallas Cowboys are playing. You don't understand. This is Jerry Jones facing up directly with the mistake that he has made over the last 26 years, come to Jesus moment. This is Jimmy Johnson being praised and joining those 349 other men as one of the greatest players and influential players in the history of the NFL. And now Jerry Jones having to literally eat that shit and realize, what the hell did I do? This guy might have won me another one or two more, and I've been literally chasing this shit for 26 years to get this high. Holy smokes. Holy smokes. I tell you what, whoever catches that first moment of Jimmy and Jerry in the same room, that's Jerry Jones going like this. Bro, you were right, I was wrong. Holy shit. I'm sorry if I'm a little emotional. Forgive me for being a little emotional on this, but for Jerry to do that, holy moly. Hawk, I'll call you back, man. I've got people that are calling. My man Dave's calling me and stuff, and Hawk's calling me. This is, right now, wow. Right now, this is literally like I'm in an alternate universe. I swear, I feel like I am in an alternate universe right now. You guys got to understand, people with money and power never admit a mistake. Never. This is a mistake that's gone on for 26 years, guys. Wow. Maybe I need to go ahead and end this stream here because, like I said, that rum on an empty stomach, that's the good shit right there, literally went to my head, and it's crazy. Wow. But think about what Jerry said, and I started on this, and I don't think I finished it, but Jerry said, when you're the owner and the GM, you can't fire yourself. I have to change. I must change. I will change. And you saw that start from the Dak Prescott dealing. No more did we hear Stephen Jones, Dak, Dak, you need to leave some money on the table for other guys. You got to understand you're the quarterback of the Cowboys, and you'll get those endorsements and stuff. That shit went out the window. That shit went out the window. They said Dak is the guy. You heard Stephen Jones basically say Dak Prescott is a rare individual who's got skills, but beyond that has got the leadership role, and that we're blessed to have him. I'm just like, okay, that's a change of goods. You saw them basically hire a coach that is a defensive guy. And instead of saying, we're going to micromanage you and you're going to go ahead and cook what we give you for ingredients, you got to look at this from a different standpoint. They've gone through and they have taken Dan Quinn, and Dan Quinn, you can see the imprint that he has put. They have let him basically say, these are the type of guys that I want on this team, because the Cowboys ain't never drafted a one technique guy. Now, be it that it was the 6th round, but they always looked at it and said, one technique, we don't need to worry. We'll just take a defensive tackle and throw him down there. That's good. No. But because Dan Quinn's defense is predicated on that guy, oh, Lord, now we got damn trolls. Shout out to Mark Holmes Mullet, one of those Philly 500 trolls that are up in here. Philly D, what? Like I said, I don't know, if Jerry's sick or not. From what I had heard a few years back, that there were some things that were going on, that they were basically, that Stephen Jones was taking on more and more of the operation. But see, I look at it right now and say, tomorrow's not given to me. People always say, Mark, you need to rest and take it easy. I lost my brother, who was only 5 years older than me, a few months back. And we've seen so many people that have passed away that your own mortality, you realize what you want to do, as Shannon Sharp says, is every day you're working on your eulogy. And so that's why every day I try and do the best that I can to try and better myself and try and help others and let people around me know how I care, how I feel. Because at 55, I don't think I'm living for another 55 years. I know that I only got so many left to finish the job that I started. Mark Holmes Mullet and Alan S., appreciate the super chats. You guys will be in our drawings that we do for Hall of Fame gear, as well as Joe Barty's and things like that. I really see a whole lot of haters up in here now. I'm able to see. I believe if curses, how far do you think you're going to do with the voodoo doll? Well, you know what, Keith? The funny thing is you can blame Joe Boo for 26 years, but Joe Boo's only been here since 2013. And for me personally, I'm not actually, sacrificing chickens or praying to voodoo dolls and stuff. I really originally made Joe Boo because of the movie Major League and because of an Eagle fan who said that the Cowboys suck so bad that not even Joe Boo could help them. If you want to take it that far and believe that, hey, you go right ahead. You go right ahead. All I know is I like my mascot. And so I think maybe I've probably said enough on this live stream and things. But for me, this was, yeah, you're right. One shot, one opportunity. This actually drives me even more to seek out Jerry Jones as well as Jimmy Johnson. I need to have that cooler beer for Jimmy. Wow. Wow. Guys, you actually just witnessed something that I thought we would never, ever see. So, I'm going to be back in about an hour because my man D2 Stu is going to be in the house, and we're going to be doing a fantasy football special for you guys. Of course, we normally will do it on Saturday, but now that camp is here, we'll be ramping up our coverage of the Joe Boo Sports Report because now we'll be talking about the guys on the field. I appreciate everybody that's being here. What I'll probably do is I'm just going to cut from Jerry Jones literally saying I fucked up, that part of the video, and upload this so that way people can see it. I had a wave of emotion that has kind of washed over me, so forgive me. And I hope that I did not embarrass myself here. But wow, this makes me really, really want to be at the Hall of Fame in 2 weeks. Oh, my God. This shit's going to be crazy, y'all. But you know how we roll. Hey, thank you, everybody who hit the like button and all that. Everybody that did the super chat. So my man Alan as well as Mullet Man. I'll get y'all's put in here, put in the drawings and things. If one of you Eagle trolls win, we'll send you a Joe Barty. I'm not sending you Dallas Cowboys autograph stuff, okay? But you know how we roll. Mark Holmes here, and as always, I want to thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Boo Sports Report.
You did one hell of a job, and the only thing else I got to say is